Technology is making it harder than ever to know what is true and what isn't. This is the most frequently asked question of me. How do I know who to trust? Well, how do we navigate it? Here, I want to give you some simple ways to test information that I and my research team use every day. We've developed over the years. It's not really brain surgery, but I explain all of these in my new book, Propaganda Wars, which I think you'll find really helpful in guarding yourself against lies heading into this election. But let me hit just a few of the highlights. I think we're going to hit 7 of them here. First thing you have to do is the liar-liar test. How do you trust? Well, when someone in a media source lies to you, you have to remember that. Evaluate them with a higher level of scrutiny going forward. Basically, they have to earn your trust back with interest. An apology or a loud correction helps this. Now, this applies to all sources, even if they're on your side of the political aisle. All of these do. The overarching goal must always be to find the truth, not the thing that we would like to be true, but the truth. A good source will be willing to publish the truth even when it conflicts with its own ideological views. In 2020, multiple media outlets, including the New York Times, Washington Post, along with President Biden, and 51 current and former government officials all lied knowingly about the authenticity of the Hunter Biden laptop. And of course, lying about a story that major came on top of their previous giant lie about collusion between Donald Trump and Russia. Now, those who lied about both stories, I don't trust at all. And not many, if any, actually apologized and then worked hard to correct that. Many of them are still saying that. The next one, how do I trust and who do I trust? You take the what is a woman test. Let's say you are reading something an expert is talking about on any topic. Try to find out what that expert's position is on an issue where there is zero doubt about what the correct answer is. Now, it could be, nuclear war is winnable. Nope. But the big one here, and you'll find it everywhere, if they cannot accurately tell the difference between a man and a woman, then the source is definitely unreliable. Like most mainstream media, NBC has been flunking this test for years. But they accidentally undermined their support of the transgender ideology last year with an article that I love titled, "Inside the Online World of People Who Think They Can Change Their Race." The article argues that it is impossible to change your race, but then quotes a transgender activist who claims that's totally different from you trying to change your sex. Okay, not a trustworthy source. The third is what I call the egg-throwing gorilla test. Now, this is a reference to Clown World, and I describe Clown World. We're living in it, but I describe Clown World in the first chapter of the book. This is a Clown World scenario that actually happened when Larry Elder ran for California governor in 2021. How do I know if this person I can trust to tell me the truth? Now, Larry Elder, as you know, happens to be black. He was attacked relentlessly as being racist. And an LA Times reporter claimed Elder had a white supremacist worldview. So a woman even went to one of Elder's rallies wearing a gorilla mask and then threw eggs at him. When a bias is this obviously backward, the source is untrustworthy. Next, beware the bias test. When people that publish things that go against their own interests, then it's more likely to be true. And this counts in credibility for other stories. This is why Michael Schellenberger is such a reliable source. He's a longtime environmentalist, and yet his reporting in recent years on green energy corruption and failures means it's more likely that he's telling the truth. Same thing, I think, with RFK. RFK, he was an icon of the Democratic Party. Because he said what he said, he saw the Democratic Party turn on him, and he said, these people are dangerous. He had nothing to gain and everything to lose. think you can trust some of the things he says. Now, the next one is the bloodthirsty tyrant test. This is another simple guideline. If someone supports or calls for violence in any way, you should not trust the information coming from that source without a lot of corroborating evidence, such as a warped sense of morality. That's, I think, a pretty good indicator that they might also struggle with truth-telling from time to time. Over the last 8 years, mainstream media has almost universally downplayed the violence and threats from Antifa. They almost always quote Mark Bray, who wrote a book about Antifa and was the organizer for Occupy Wall Street and that movement. But if you think your cause is righteous, so righteous, it justifies rioting, violence, burning cities down, then I don't trust you. Number 6 is really tough. That's the original source test. This one is tough because it takes patience, it takes digging. But whenever possible, don't take it firsthand. Don't take it from like Kamala Harris saying that. Who said that? Well, we know it was General Kelly. Once we know the original source, we can ask, is that guy trustworthy? If you hear something reported as absolute fact and is repeated verbatim by multiple outlets, try to find out where that fact originated. We talk about this extensively in the book, and we give you a very, very solid example of why you cannot trust something that is everywhere and quoted exactly if you don't know the original source. If a media outlet doesn't mention the source of that fact that they share, that's a red flag. If they do mention the source, try to go to that source and see if they mention it. That's where they got the fact, that it's the same thing that everybody is saying. This message of tracing will also often lead you to the original source, which will then help you determine the trustworthiness of the information.